Well, Ruben, it's great to speak to you and to see you again. We are nearing the end of an international break. Firstly, what has it been like for you? What have you been up to? Have you had any downtime? Have you been watching your Chelsea colleagues out on international duty?
Yeah, I've watched a few of the games, especially the England games. For the boys done well, but we've had some downtime away from the training ground, a little break to freshen our legs, freshen our minds. Ready for a busy month ahead, so no, feeling good. I'm back in today for the first time.
Glad to hear, of course, that you're doing well. Now, before we look ahead to the game against Liverpool, I just want to look back at your last match, which was a draw against Everton at Stamford Bridge. I interviewed Ben Chilwell after the match, and he said it felt like a minor setback just to concede that late equaliser. From your point of view, what did it feel like to go into the international break having drawn against Everton?
Well, I agree with Ben in the fact that it felt like a little setback. Just purely looking at the results previously, obviously starting to win games. I felt like we was a better side in the game as well, with more possession and chances. But that's football. Sometimes it's one second, split second of switching off, or a mistake, and a team can punish you in the Premier League. So I do think it feels like that. But also, if we look at the positives, we played well, and we've been playing well for the last 4 or 5 games. So we take both sides of it, but I think we're in a good place now.
What did Graham say to the team after the match? I mean, you mentioned it there. Before that match, you had won 3 games in all competitions, hadn't you? So does it feel like you are back on the right track as a team, as a collective? And what did Graham say to the players before you guys all left?
No, it was, first of all, the players in the dressing room weren't too happy. The nature of how he drew the game, and the manager said what I said there. We actually played well. And it was, in his eyes was a step forward the way we was playing, and it's been a step forward for the last couple of weeks. The way we're playing it feels much more like ourselves, dominating games, creating chances, and winning games, and that's what we're searching for. And to see it come, in the last couple of games is feeling good, and we need to build on that.
What has this season been like for the players? It's been such a season of transition in terms of you've had a change in manager, so many new players come in. What has it been like from your point of view?
Yeah, very, very different, very strange. So I've never had a season like this in terms of how much change. Staff coming in, staff going out in all departments, players coming in, a lot of players, and it's just been a big change. From the top to the bottom, and it's something I've never experienced before. I'm sure a lot of players haven't either, but it's happened, and I think it's our job as players to accept it and to welcome it, and try and make it work as much as possible. And I think everyone in the training ground, in the club, is doing everything they can to make Chelsea a team that's feared again, and we're on that direction now.
You're a Chelsea boy through and through. You've had so many new players come into the team. I mean, how important has it been for you to know the club so well and to have welcomed so many of the new players? And what have you done to help them?
No, I think the players that have come in are naturally very confident and believe in their ability, and they're not shy around the training ground. So, and you can see in some of the performances they're fitting in well. So I didn't need to do too much to kind of help them settle in, but all the boys play their part in making them feel welcome and helping them as much as they can. But from my eyes, they didn't need too much help.
It is quite a young dressing room. What's the vibe like whenever you're preparing for matches and during the week? Is it quite exciting and vibrant?
Yeah, I mean, as a footballer, the games is the most exciting bit, and there's stress that comes with it, the pressure and the nerves, but that's why we love it. We love to play under pressure and in these big games, and it's exciting because it's different. Some games, the dressing room's a lot louder than others, but it doesn't mean we're going to play bad or play better. So it's just different from game to game. But yeah, it's interesting to kind of have that observation of the team.
Now, you've got a game coming up against Aston Villa at the weekend, but we're not focusing on that one. We're focusing on Liverpool next week, a huge match. They have struggled for consistency this season, as well as Chelsea. Have you been surprised to see them struggle so much? Because they haven't been through as much a transition period as, say, a club like Chelsea. So what have you made of their season so far, from your point of view?
Well, yeah, they haven't been at their best like they have been for the last few years, and the standard they've set is very high. And of course, just like after they've had a bit of change, not as much, but they've had some players go out, some important players for them in the last few seasons that have been a big factor in their success, the likes of Mane and players like this. Sometimes you don't realise how much of an effect they have on the team. But still, you can never put your finger on it. We're not in the training ground to tell, the vibe or what's going on. But the Premier League is so hard nowadays. I don't think people understand that the level of the football is so high, and it's getting higher, and the intensity is so high with all the teams. Anyone can beat anyone, and to be at the top of the Premier League is a big feat, and it's very hard to keep doing that. So yeah, it's what happens in football, but and they've picked up their form recently. But they can always just go out and beat Man United 6-7-0, and that's how it is. So we always have to be prepared for teams like this.
What are you expecting from this game at Stamford Bridge? Of course, the reverse fixture ended goalless at Anfield in January. What are you expecting from this game in particular?
Well, the games against Liverpool are always intense physically and a battle. And of course, the fans love these games, and the atmosphere in this stadium is always big and loud, and that helps us. Playing at home, and like I said, as players, we love to play in these games. It's the best games to play in when you're playing other big teams, and we have to bring our best because they likely want to beat us even more. So yeah, but we enjoy these games the most, so ready for it.
You mentioned it there. Out of all of your games in a season, how big is this one in particular, playing Liverpool? Because you've got these big rivalries against Tottenham, you've got the London derbies, but when you take on Liverpool, how big of a game does it feel?
No, it's big. They're a huge club, and I think that playing for Chelsea, you always want to win, but when you're playing against other big teams who you feel like you're rivaling, you've always got this extra ambition to, that mentality, just a little switch that you're ready for it, and you're ready to bring your best physically and mentally. But yeah, you always wanna, get the edge over them, the bragging rights, and of course 3 points.
Absolutely, and I'm sure the fans will be hoping for all 3 points as well. I'm sure the fans will also be hoping to see one player in particular back on the pitch, and that's N'Golo Kante, of course. He returned to the matchday squad against Everton. We didn't see him on the pitch. He has played 60 minutes in a friendly against Charlton the other day. Yeah. How much do you think Chelsea have missed him this season, and how important do you think his return could be?
No, we've missed him a lot. I don't need to say what he brings. Everyone knows he's a player that you can feel his absence on the pitch. As a player, the amount of work he puts in, the tackles, the interceptions, the positioning he gives defensively and pressing. It's just like you got another man on the pitch with you, and to play against is not nice. In training, if N'Golo's behind you, you have to concentrate because he's so good at nicking the ball, getting tackles, and to dominate a game, he's a very important player, and we've definitely missed him. So to have him back, obviously he's been out a very long time, so we can't expect to see the best N'Golo Kante in the first couple of games, but even him at his best is not at his best is an advantage.
How much of a lift does it give the players, and I think also the fans, when they just see him? Because when I was at the game against Everton, as soon as he started warming up, the fans were up cheering him, and they were screaming his name. Does it just give that lift just to see such an important player, just even in the matchday squad?
Yeah, to see his development and coming back, it's exciting for us as players to know he's close, and we get to play with him again, and he's gonna help us win and help us on our journey back to winning every week, and that's what we want, and we want him to be a big part of that, and I'm sure the fans do as well.
And what about yourself? How would you assess your season? How do you feel it's gone?
Personally, I think I've had a lot of minutes this season. I think my most started games. So personally, I've had a season where I've contributed a lot and played a lot, which has not been the case for a lot of seasons here. For various reasons. But it's obviously not the best season because we haven't achieved what we want to achieve in terms of the league and in the cups, but we hope to turn that around, and I hope to be a big part of that going forward.
And you've played a lot at right wing back as well. I mean, how do you find that position, that role?
I've got used to it now. Played there a few times now, but when it was kind of first asked of me by Thomas, I was a bit baffled by that because I've never been seen as a right wing back before. I have played on the the wings before, Palace and with Sarri a bit, so it wasn't completely foreign to me. But I'm starting to get used to it now, and it's a position where I can use my running power, and in midfield sometimes you don't always get that if the game's cagey and tight. So it's just a different position and a different job that I have to kind of do to my best ability and execute what the manager wants.
Do you still prefer playing in central midfield though?
Yeah.
Ya que nos encontraste, no olvides suscribirte a nuestra página para disfrutar de las mejores jugadas de la Premier League, lo más destacado de las Chivas Rayadas del Guadalajara y todas las novedades del mundo del deporte. ¡Te esperamos!